Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to CAMCON 2024. I had seen a chat earlier on in the comments. For some reason, I don't see it anymore. So if you're live with us, please let's know. I can see that we have 10 people on the call already, and the number is rising. So, welcome and thank you so much for joining us this year. If you've been here before, please let us know. Write in the chat, say I'm coming back. If this is your first time, please write it in the chat as well to say this is my first time. Thank you so much for honoring us with your presence. You saw the invitation. You could have skipped, but you clicked on it and you came in, you registered, and you're ready to learn. Thank you. My name is Joyce Daniels, your Master of Ceremonies for today. Proudly so. And this is the Cyber and Me conference. I know that 2 years ago it was put together to be a platform to enlighten more of us who are not very techy to know how we can protect ourselves better in the cyberspace. This year's theme is Secure Your World. Secure Your World. Hi, Sibo's Cookhouse. I see your comment. And Mayene, yes, this is your first time. Both of you, it's your first time. So, yay, welcome. If you don't mind, we will be so glad if you share the link with friends, put it on your WhatsApp status, and say, hey, come learn how to secure your world, come learn how to be better prepared to deal with this cyber world that we all live on right now. Emmanuel Oyama, also your first time, I see you. Welcome and thank you. So, in a moment, I will bring on stage the convener of the Cyber and Me conference, the founder of Silcon Technologies, who is the sponsor of today's event. And every year so far, we've had him say welcome to people, invite guests, because he's passionate about making sure that we are all safe in the cyber world. Please welcome George Ikoli-Spiff. Hello, George. Good to see you. How are you?
Hello, Joyce. Thank you. I'm fine. And how are you two today?
I'm very well, thank you. I'll leave it to you for the next few minutes to speak to our guests. I'm seeing Noyi is also here and Kinini. Can you see the comments, George?
No, I can't see the
Oh,
comments.
that's fine. So I'll read them
Hmm.
as I see them. So over to you. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. So sorry, just trying to adjust my system. So good day, everyone, and a warm welcome to the Cybersecurity and Me conference. It's an honor to have each of you here today as we dive into one of the most pressing issues of our time, which is security. In today's digital age, the landscape of cyber threats is evolving at an unprecedented pace, impacting individuals, businesses, and even entire nations. From personal data breaches to large scale cyber attacks on critical infrastructures, the need to fortify our defenses has never been more urgent. Now, this conference brings together an incredible array of talented security experts, innovators, industry leaders, policymakers, and decision makers from various sectors, all united by one goal to collaborate, share knowledge, and explore the cutting edge solutions that will safeguard our digital spaces. Over the next 2 hours, we will explore groundbreaking topics from the latest in security technology and trends to real world case studies on data breaches and their impacts. We'll delve into key strategies on risk management, emerging threats like AI driven cyber attacks, and the importance of building a culture of security within organizations. But beyond the technical discussions, this gathering is also about people, about building trust and relationships within the cybersecurity community. Whether you are here to learn, to share, or to network, I encourage you to actively engage, ask questions, and forge partnerships that can last long after this conference ends. This is a unique opportunity to be at the forefront of a safer digital future. And the insights you gain here could very well shape the way you approach security in your own environments. Let's not forget that cybersecurity is not a one person responsibility, it's a collective effort. Each of us in our respective roles has a part to play in creating and maintaining a secure digital ecosystem. Together, we can build a safe, more resilient digital world for ourselves and future generations. So, as we embark on this important journey today, I hope you leave this conference not just informed, but inspired and empowered to take actionable steps in your cybersecurity journeys. Thank you all for being here, and let's make this an impactful and transformative experience. Over to you, Joyce.
Thank you so much, George. Everyone, if you can in the chats, please say thank you and give a round of applause. Just give us the virtual hand clap to our convener, George Ikoli-Spiff, founder of StillCon. And he has said, relax and get ready to learn, and have our eyes open. So let's not learn alone. Let's invite others to learn with us. Thank you, George. I'll put you in the backstage right now as I prepare to bring on our keynote speaker, Sholakbe Akinpelu. Before I do, I can see that Ben Wooten is also here. First time. I like the point George made about building a culture of security within companies. Yay, thank you. Kinini is also here. And Martin, we're delighted to have you all. If you don't mind telling us where you're clicking in from, what part of the world you are in, it would be nice to see as well. And maybe after the keynote speech, I would let people know that we have participants from these parts of the world. I would put on my screen what some of you may have seen already, the flyer which we used to speak of our keynote speaker for today. And then I'll just read out only one or two lines from it because I know many of us have seen it already. Yes, I found it. I am glad to say that I'm really honored that she was able to honor us with her presence this year. She's a best-selling author, an accomplished business leader, and a gender finance expert. But the very interesting thing is that a lot of the work she does is through fintech, financial technology. So there's a lot of onlining in her line of business, helping improve women's lives through financial access and services, mostly in the online space. So if she's dealing with a lot of monies from people, over 40,000 members in her space, it means she would have to be very careful about the security of their data and access to their data that is online. She serves as the global co-chair of marketing for the Women in Tech Global Movement, also serves as the country manager for Nigeria. She is also the chairman of technology at the Nigerian British Chamber of Commerce, promoting technology, trade, and investment between Nigeria and Britain, amongst many other roles that she occupies. She's the author of a best-selling personal finance book, which I have read, and it's a must-read for all. And if you don't follow her already on social media, follow Sholape Akinpelu so that you can purchase the book Stripped, An African Woman's Guide to Building Generational Wealth. Today, she's our keynote speaker, and she'll be speaking to the topic of securing your world. Ladies and gentlemen, if you can in the chats, give us some woohoos from Nigeria, from Nairobi. I can see from Ghana, from Spain. Wow. So give us some international global woohoos to welcome Sholakbe Akinpelu, our keynote speaker. Yay. People are from UK as well. Welcome to CAMCON 2024. Sholakbe, thank you for honoring us, and we're glad to have you.
Thank you so much, Joyce, for having me. Thank you, George, as well. It's beautiful to be here. And thank you to our participants who have spared quality time and airtime to be here as well. It's a pleasure being here, everyone, and thank you for having me. However, Joyce had told me that, Sholape, you have to be time conscious. So I'll quickly just, dive in, and hopefully the next 20 minutes that we'll be sharing, would be great for all of us. So I'm here trying to present my screen. Okay, got it. Excuse me. All right, could you kindly confirm you can see my screen now? Hello, Joyce. Can you hear me, Joyce?
It's on stage. I'm trying to make sure everybody else can see it. Just give me a moment, please.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Okay, I'll leave this.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. So, quickly, Joyce had already gone through my profile, and basically, we want to talk about securing our world, which is not just important for today, but even for the future we're trying to build. And then, as much as there are many, ways to do that, especially when it comes to our online activities, both as persons, as individuals, companies, organizations, the route that a lot of us had plowed before now, is largely manual. So, for instance, at Harvest, which is a fintech, we run regular vulnerability tests, penetration tests, and we do this, every quarter. But we're saying, hello, everyone. Artificial intelligence has been here and then is on the rise. How can we, adopt this to scale cybersecurity and safeguard ourselves, secure our world? And the key word here, according to this, by Ian Deacon, is, that artificial intelligence is helping us becoming more human. And that's especially because, as you are well aware, there are so many debates for and against artificial intelligence as this, where people are saying, okay, it's double-sided, it's harmful, it will replace jobs, it will get people out of jobs. But basically, our intelligence is what makes us human. We are mammals, but what makes us human is our intelligence. And AI is an extension of that quality. Therefore, artificial intelligence is mainly extending what we do with our abilities. And in that way, it lets us become more human. Looking at the rise of AI, although it was formally introduced in the mid 20th century, and at some point it was almost synonymous to computers. Looking back at, say, about 20 years ago. So when someone says, what's the meaning of artificial intelligence? I think you just basically say, computers, because they ride on artificial intelligence. But in recent times, we've seen that it's about creating even very more intelligent and more exotic intelligent systems that is on the rise. So I guess in 2022, it became not just a buzzword, but what everybody's grandma, grandpa, auntie, and even toddlers became very interested in, for good reasons, I must say. For instance, according to Google's records, searching emanating from Nigeria alone surrounding the phrase AI rose by a staggering 100% in 2022 alone. And the release of artificial intelligence, that is ChatGPT, around this time last year by OpenAI was, it was just a blockbuster, and that heightened the awareness of generative AI, in particular in Nigeria. It triggered a conversation whirlwind in the Nigerian environment and brought massive attention to AI and its uses. So numbers don't lie. We might want to ask ourselves, that is artificial intelligence exaggerated? And just to quickly backtrack, we're talking about safeguarding our world. We're talking about cybersecurity, and we're trying to focus on how artificial intelligence can help safeguard for us. So just stay with me and work with me. Okay, thank you. So numbers don't lie. For instance, according to Statista, 34% of high tech and 45% of telecom companies already use AI, and we are not surprised at these numbers. The worldwide artificial intelligence market revenue is expected to grow from 327.5 billion US dollars in 2021 to 1.5 trillion by 2030. Just look at that staggering projection. And then the demand for artificial intelligence specialists has grown by 300% between 2015 and 2019 in a space of 4 years. So if you're thinking that artificial intelligence is overhyped, take a back seat and know that there are so many benefits to this and it's highly in demand. And talking about benefits, let's look at some of the benefits that we've seen. There are many sectors that we've seen, but for the purpose of this address, I've limited to three major areas, and those are financial services, education, and then healthcare. And those three, you agree with me, are critical to lives, to communities, to societies, to families. Starting with financial services, and how artificial intelligence, can also not just, scale their services, but also help safeguard their systems. It can be used to detect fraud. Several times it's been used to detect fraud, predict credit risk, particularly in our own sector, where you have, a lot of fragmented credit footprints of financial services users. With artificial intelligence, you can have all of this, aggregated in one place and interpret patterns to determine if one is credit worthy or one has the cash flow, for instance, to back a required amount of, loan or fund they are requesting for. And also, we've seen in wealth management, particularly, that it helps provide personalized financial advice to customers, what we call robo advisors, used both internationally and locally. We've seen a lot of Nigerian banks adopt that now. For instance, there was a time that almost all Nigerian banks had their own robo advisor. I think UBA, for instance, had Leo. There were Zenith had this, beautiful lady in red. There were just many, and that is artificial intelligence, for you. In education, AI can be used to personalize learning, providing real-time feedback to students and automate administrative tasks. That is, you can self-pace, you learn on your own time, and you learn at your pace. In healthcare, it is very, very vast in healthcare. So aside from using it to improve healthcare outcomes by providing personalized treatment, predicting and preventing diseases, and optimizing clinical workflows, we've seen artificial intelligence being used in clinical trials as well. I'm aware of so many colleagues who are working on solutions that, can save time. I'm talking about years, in clinical trials through artificial intelligence. For instance, when COVID broke in 2019, before we could get the solution, we had several clinical trials that it's estimated that if there were advanced intelligence in that area, it would have safeguarded some lives rather than having the numbers recorded. So you'd see that artificial intelligence has huge benefits, and it's not going away if we are being totally honest with each other. But as is with almost everything, artificial intelligence is like a double-edged sword, okay? And that's why, when you have the challenges of its positives and its negatives, its intended and unintended consequences, we've just got to ask ourselves to say, okay, what side do we want to be? But it is not enough, to what's the word? Totally ignore, the benefits. And once we are aware of its challenges, it helps us, stand in a place where we can affirm, acknowledge, and then deal with these challenges. Some of its risks and challenges are online scams and fraud. So as we've seen, as artificial intelligence is not monopolistic, so as it's available on the World Wide Web, it's available, on the dark side of the internet as well. And we must say And what has happened is that it has unfortunately helped, scams and fraud even get more advanced. For instance, some examples here, where a Nigerian fraudster was arrested for using an AI-powered voice technology to impersonate voices of senior execs and steal more than 8 million US dollars from a UK-based energy company. There are tons and tons of, scams and frauds littering across the continents and even globally. In 2019, we had cyber criminals, for instance, who, you know, stole more than 100 million from businesses and individuals. In 2020 as well, a record of fraudsters in South Africa were arrested for using AI-powered voice technology to impersonate bank employees and steal money from customers' accounts. So online scams and frauds, are one of the challenges that before, the emergence or the big um, um, recognition of AI, they've been there, but it's almost as if, it's advancing the dark web. And that's why we have to stay steps ahead as well, to cope this as we enjoy the benefits of artificial intelligence and safeguard ourselves. Deep fakes, for instance, are what I want to believe that some of us are aware of. And if you're not, they are just made up video where, it's so real, it's so believable. And in some of the cases where I've spoken about online scams and frauds, deepfakes are being used as well, where people take on the persona of another, imitate their voice and all of that. For instance, in 2019, it was reported allegedly that there was a video that circulated by the opposition candidates, and who was allegedly speaking at a public event promising to grant amnesty to terrorists if elected. The video was later proven to be deep fake, but imagine the uprising and the challenges that must have thrown into the larger community. In India, a deepfake video was used to falsely depict another politician as making derogatory comments about a female politician. So you see how all of these are posing risks, and challenges. It doesn't exempt even the US as well, where a deepfake video was created of then House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, appearing to slur her words. Unfortunately, there are various manipulations, going on, and it's not far from deep voice as well, which I've also mentioned. Okay, I'm getting pressed for time now. Well, some of the risks and challenges as well are facial recognition biases. I don't know if some of us have seen the movie Coded Bias. I think it's a 2021 or 2022 movie as well, where challenges in terms of facial recognition, especially against people of color or a particular gender, were raised, saying that these are some of the challenges, of artificial intelligence where recognition fails. For instance, in 2018, the American Civil Liberties Union conducted a test of Amazon's facial recognition software called Recognition with a K, and found that it falsely matched 28 members of Congress to mugshot photos. Right. So the false matches were disproportionately people of color, including African Americans and Hispanics. I'm aware that there is an Algorithm Justice League, a not-for-profit in, I think, based in Massachusetts, working on all of this, to ensure that there is also justice in artificial intelligence, especially removing the biases against people of color. Okay, yeah, misinformation amplification is also an issue. I think I've spoken to some of those, but aside from the fake deep voices, fake news manipulations, causing them to spread, making things appear so real when they are not, also harmful, to our existence as a people. And so what we're saying is that we need to call ourselves to action to say how real are cyber challenges, either the ones being posed by AI or the ones that are not exactly AI related. But ultimately, how can we solve them? through artificial intelligence. Because Clarion Call, global cybercrime, according to Cybersecurity Ventures, cost of global cybercrime will reach 10.5 trillion annually by 2025. So look at some examples I gave: 100 million gone there, another $80 million gone there. Just imagine that happening at a larger scale across the globe. So estimating that 10.5 trillion will be lost annually, by 2025 isn't an alarm, right? It is the reality if we do not take safeguarding, uh, if we not take cybersecurity really important. And the most dangerous threat that we've seen across, for instance, malware, ransomware, denial of service, distributed denial of service attacks, and also social engineering. This is me assuming that we know, but again, I don't know if you've had cases where you get mails or you get some messages. It says you should click on it, you do, and then it's almost as if your system gets suspended, or somewhere where you have cases where you have to pay before you're able to get access to your systems, or even denial of service, or social engineering, denial of service, where it's almost as if you just have this avalanche of requests on your system, and you basically can't do anything. But I'll just focus on social engineering because that's the one that we've seen that's really, really huge in this part, and give some examples too. Okay, so I'll just give two examples of those, and that is because as you see, in the lower part of my screen, the most targeted sectors are 24% of government of targets. Government gets targeted 24% of the time. Public services 12%, private services 12.5%, IT providers 13%, banking and insurance 9%, and health 7%. Two examples that come to mind, for instance, I think it was in 2021. We were quite young, had a very growing treasury that we're managing, and then we got this. And I must say that these attackers usually do this, particularly in the early hours, right? So as you and I both go face our businesses, what I tell the team is that we work like 8 hours a day, but on the dark side of the internet, they're working 24 hours. They run shifts. Okay, so we usually notice that we get attacks at around like 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. ish, where you have no one really safeguarding your systems. And what we had to do, I think we had some monies moved, but thankfully it was moved into a Bitcoin wallet, and they had put some triggers such that if some funds get moved at a particular time, you cannot withdraw. So thankfully, with some legal arrangements, we're able to retrieve that fund back. That was because they had already safeguarded their own systems. And now, talking about social engineering, I think this happened last year. At Harvest, our co-founder, who is our CTO as well, is Yomi. And I just got a random message from Yomi saying, on WhatsApp, we communicate a lot on WhatsApp, and we communicate a lot, as you can imagine, And he said, "Oh, Shalape, I'm sorry, I can't raise the 5 million. I would have sent it, So, and it was strange. I didn't ask him for any. So I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "The mail." I said, "Which email?" Apparently, someone had, cloned my email, and then, sent a message to Yomi via mail to say, "Hello, I need," like saying, "Could you kindly raise me this amount, urgently? I need to pay it into someone's account. Here's the person's account. I think the person said I was having, there was just an excuse there. And, you can imagine if he had that fund at that particular time, he would have probably just said, oh, it's Sholape is having, maybe a low time with funds, or maybe bank issues, or for whatever reason, I would have gone on to send that money into that other account, because it came from my own official email to his own, official email. And I know that a lot of us here would have probably had our mothers, fathers, grandmas, aunties, uncles being victims of this WhatsApp hijacking that happens most of the time, where someone just calls them. It's happened to my mother, a lot of people around me, and tell them to give them that 6-digit code and then go on calling their friend. So those are social engineering. And so we just all need to be very, very aware of, all of this. So I'll just quickly, I need to round up now, to just state some facts to say that the potential of, AI in cybersecurity, that is, let's look at an overview of AI's transformative potential in cybersecurity, because that's the point of this conversation. In 2024, the market size for AI in cybersecurity alone would reach 24.8 billion. That's before the end of this year. And that's projected to reach an impressive 102 billion by 2022. Because 48.9, that's close to 50% of global executives and security experts consider artificial intelligence and machine learning as potent tools to combat modern cyber threats. So my question to you is that, how are you adopting artificial intelligence in combating some of these modern cyber threats that we've mentioned? And 44% of global organizations are already leveraging AI to detect security intrusions. So, for governments and policymakers, the take home, for instance, would be, to collaborate internationally to create uniform AI standards, preventing a fragmented regulatory environment that bad actors can exploit. Can we have a holistic sandbox where, and we've said it several times, that across public and even private sectors, when you have issues, when you have attacks, can we have a major register where we put all of this, so that, our stories are not in silos, and that way we have a holistic regulatory environment and not fragmented ones that bad actors can exploit? Because trust me, they keep moving so fast. And for industry leaders and developers, my charge to you is building trustworthy AI systems. Businesses must commit to building AI systems that prioritize safety, fairness, and accountability at every stage of the development process. Industry leaders should join or create cross-industry alliances and AI ethics consortiums to ensure consistent standards and ethical guidelines in AI development. Um, Every organization should implement strict privacy policies, adopt secure data management systems, and educate employees. Educate employees, I cannot overemphasize on that, on safeguarding AI-generated insights. An organization should actively communicate the benefits and risks of AI to consumers and create open feedback mechanisms to address concerns or biases that may arise in AI-driven services. And to you, to everyone listening, a public should engage with educational resources on AI. For instance, I mean, why can't all of us randomly have a place where is either publicly funded or maybe by not-for-profits, where we can participate, in conversations as this? Because yes, this is virtual, but it must have taken a lot, from still putting this together, which we applaud and celebrate, by the ways. But we just need more conversations like this about AI governance, and create a lot of advocacy for ethical AI policies that align, with us in a valuable way. On this note, I'd like to say thank you to Steelcon Technologies, the CAMCON conference, and the other speakers, and you participants, for taking the time to listen out to me today as we step back now and listen to the other panelists and the
I don't know what happened. I think we just lost our keynote speaker. I'm hoping she comes back. She was trying to round off. And as soon as I see her back in the studio, I'll bring her back on stage to conclude her her conversation. Thank you. Very, very insightful, in-depth conversation that she's brought to light. AI is fantastic for us, and how are we using it for the benefit of our cybersecurity to secure our world online? Many of us are already, please in the chats, you can say how many of us are already using AI for improved work, improved communication, improved deliverables. So how are we also thinking about it? The good thing is that we have some of our panelists who will speak to us not too long from now. They're experts in the cybersecurity space, and they would answer these questions. And I'm sure a number of questions will also arise. I already see one or two questions that I would like to pose to our panelists from all. So everyone, if you really enjoyed and you were enlightened by Sholape's conversation, our keynote speaker's delivery, please put your hands together in the chat. Give us some emoji. If you don't find the hand clap emoji, give us a thumbs up emoji, give us a heart sign. I think she's back. Sholape, I'm so sorry. I don't know how we lost you there. I hope it wasn't an AI threat.
Hopefully not.
So
But was
please,
I able to wrap up? Did the
you were
audience?
almost there. You had said thank you, but please finish all that you had to say to the people.
Okay, so I said thank you. You saw the thank you slide, yeah?
Yes, I did. And then the next thing, everything just went blank.
You know, for a moment, I almost blanked out. Like, wait, I hope I've not been talking to myself. Oh,
No,
this
no,
is
no, no. We were with you all the way, and there are hand claps coming in from participants who have been enlightened by the depth of how far you've taken us, the journeys you've taken us on. I've heard a few things that I'm like, oh, I I personally didn't really think about AI not just as a tool for enhancing my work, but also as a tool for improving cybersecurity. So I'm sure our panelists have some deepening to do. Thank you. Thank you so
absolutely.
much. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so
Thank you
much
so much.
for all that work that you put in for the betterment of us. The good thing is that the video stays here on YouTube indefinitely. So anybody can always come back and listen to the talk, and I'm sure we'll cut out bits of your conversation and we'll share it so that others who couldn't make it live would
Sure.
also be able to participate and partake of
Sure.
the insights. Thank you so much. And
Thank
thank
you,
you from all
Joyce.
of us. All
Awesome.
right,
Thank you.
Shalakbi. Have a
Yeah.
wonderful rest of your day.
No problem. I'm
This
still
time
here.
I'll let you leave the stage. I'm not,
Okay.
I'm not going to touch anything. Thank you. Wow, thank you. I see the hand claps. Thank you all. Thank you very much. So I have a short video from the sponsors of today's event, Stillcon Technologies. The video is less than 2 minutes, just to give you a little insight into Stillcon Technologies, who we are, what we do. And then after that, we'll welcome our panelists to begin to deal with the questions that I know you and I have.
Welcome to CAMCON 2024. At Steelcon Technologies Limited, we lead the charge in empowering businesses with innovative solutions that drive cost efficiency, productivity improvements, and overall workplace automation. As we expand our footprint across Africa, our mission remains steadfast: to make a meaningful difference by delivering cutting-edge IT solutions that propel our clients towards greater success and profitability. We offer a wide range of specialized consultancy services focused on cybersecurity, cloud infrastructure, AI, software development, and training.
Yay, that's who Stillcon Technologies is. And the video, I understand, is AI driven as well, put together using the artificial intelligence that is available to us at our fingertips to improve productivity, including improving the security of our lives online. And I dare say we have a large chunk of our lives online. Everyone from everywhere you are in the world. We have people here from Lagos, from Abuja, from Anambra. I think I also saw people coming from Port Harcourt, from Ikeja, from the UK, from Enugu State, from I'm scrolling. We have people from Nairobi. We have someone from Ghana. And why do I feel I've missed one or two? If you haven't told us where you're clicking in from, please do so. It would be nice to see and know. So let's begin to bring up our panel discussants up to stage so that we can enjoy the next 45 minutes of questions, not just from me, but questions from you. So if you have questions about securing your world and maybe something from what our keynote speaker said, it'll be nice to drop in the chats, and I'll do my best to bring the attention of our panelists. Someone is here from Asaba. Thank you so much, Eugene, for joining us. The first that I would like to bring up, I see her right here backstage. Her name is Eunice King. She's an accomplished leader with over 27 years in the technology services space and has had several roles at the Nigeria Interbank Settlement Systems PLC, NIBS. She served as head of technology infrastructure, and many other roles. She played a key role in the implementing of major financial platforms like the BVN, which is the bank verification number. So you can see a face to what many of us know. She also worked on the project of NIP, which is NIBS Instant Payment, while managing the NIBS DC infrastructure, a critical national infrastructure. She's been recognized, which is recognized by the federal government of Nigeria for a decade. Today, we are honored and we are pleased to have Eunice King as one of our panel discussants who will be dealing with the questions that we have. So everyone, please welcome Eunice King. Thank you. I think you need to unmute. We're happy to have you. The gentleman who is joining us on the panel, let me show what we have, which some of you may have seen already. Mr. Raphael. Anytime I say the name Raphael, I think of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm so sorry. Raphael Adaka. He's a cybersecurity consultant for Palo Alto Networks with over a decade of experience in networking and cybersecurity. He's also one of Palo Alto Network subject matter experts driving digital transformation via cloud security adoption with enterprises, financial-based customers, and government organizations across the African space. Everybody welcome Mr. Raphael. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you.
Glad to have you.
Pleasure.
All right. And finally, she joined us. She logged on about maybe 10 or 15 minutes before the time, very ready to deal with the questions that we have. I am privileged to receive one who has spent her time as a cybersecurity and data protection specialist, a member of the CompShare Instructors Network. She's interested in the education of IT. She's an IT exam questions and curriculum developer, and she's the founder of Mobile Cyber Safety Nexus. She's also a panelist at CAMCON 2024. So everyone, please welcome Olabimpe Adeloro. If I didn't get the pronunciation right, please forgive me, ma'am, and I'm happy to have you correct me.
That's fine. Pleased to
All
meet
right.
you, Joyce. Well done. Pleased to meet you, Raphael. Same with you, Eunice.
Yeah.
Good
Right.
afternoon from here. Yeah.
Thank you. From different parts of Nigeria or Africa, they've joined because you, our participants, are important to us. Your betterment. So whether you're watching live or you're watching the replay, you're in Benin or you're in Uyo, as I can see a few people, or you're in Asaba, this is for you. I would like to start with the first question that I saw in the chat, please. And I would just leave it open. And please, any of our panelists, if you would like to take it before I bring very specific questions to you, I would like to just throw it out there. Someone said, Innocent Okore says, my problem is simple. How do I get staff of my clients to stop clicking on phishing emails. Looks like
Oh,
training and awareness sessions are not working. So,
Oh,
because you have industry experience, you have educational experience, maybe three of you should take your 1 minute at trying to um, respond to this for Innocent's sake and for the rest of us. Olabimpe, is it okay if I start with you and then I go to Raphael and I
that's
come to
good.
you? All right, please go ahead.
Um, yeah, thank you very much for that. I mean, that's one of the strong uh, parts I love talking about fishing. Innocent is unfortunate I can't speak with you directly. If I can, I will have asked you because when you talk about users training, that is very important. But how frequent do we get to do this? Of course, I will talk more about it later if I'm allowed to. So you might want to increase your frequency, then you might want to incorporate stimulations too, because sometimes we do something and it's so boring, and over time it's just not working. It's just like when you use anti-malaria here in Africa, and our system just built resistance to it. So maybe your staff is building resistance to the method you are using. In quotes. So,
Interesting. I'll go for it.
so you could do something more fun for them, maybe like gaming. You can introduce gaming. That could be very helpful.
All right. Thank you so much, Raphael.
okay. So I don't think I would say it better than the first
Olabimpe.
responder has said it. But I think it's all around people, process, and technology. If I could speak to Mr. Innocent directly, I'd have also loved to ask further questions, right? Other than trading, what else has he done? Do you have the right people in place? Do you have the right processes in place? And then what technology are you using? Now, if he's an SMB who might not have the financial without,
SMB
to
meaning
a small business,
okay,
enterprise,
yes.
SME, who might not have, the financial muscle to get, the right tools, then he might also reach out to Stilcon so that they can give him something that, like an MSSP offering, that he
Okay.
can use to protect his employees from also from receiving those kind of phishing emails. So
Okay.
people, process, technology. She already
Okay.
spoke about people. That's where training comes to play. Processes, what processes do you have in place as an enterprise? People need to know what penalties are out there also, kind of then technology, which I'll also refer him back to Stilcon.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And Eunice, please, I would like to hear your thoughts as well.
All right, so my co-panelists have, they've like nailed it, but I'd just like to add, beside the training, I don't know what technical measures, because sometimes you try to change habits, but some other times you need systems to help, change human behavior. So you might need to implement robust email filters, so that you can filter spam mail. It should be able to detect spam mails and filter them. Then you can also use anti-phishing software to scan emails. Then you can also, I don't know, two-factor authentication also comes in handy, and also limit privileges of users for to it depends on the kind of mails, but you have to limit user privilege,
Mm,
some sort of mails, or depending on what the system, what you're trying to actually prevent. Another thing you can do, also do more phishing. You can do more severally, so that you would find out the people in the system that always click, and you now need to have that one-on-one with them, so that they can, understand and build the behavior of not quickly clicking on phishing. That's just what I need to add. Thank you.
all right. Thank you. Innocent, please put in the chat if this has been helpful. It has been helpful to me, and I'm sure it's been helpful to all of us. So, besides Innocent, all of us, if this has been helpful, the first question, the answer is already very clear. So, please say thank you to our speakers and say, if it has shed some light, just write enlightened or write the letter E, which stands for enlightened. And that's why we came. Or if it already makes you feel safer, you can write safer in the chat. We'll take that as well. Um, I'm seeing a message here. Thanks for answering my question. Very insightful. My email is innocent.okore@gmail.com. He's hoping that you might take it down. Who knows? Say hi to him, and then he'll fire you many more questions. And who knows? Maybe
No, he
get to
wants
his
you to reach
organization.
out to him. He wants
Yeah.
you to
So
reach out to offer
Innocent,
himself
we
to.
will reach out to you, and I'm sure Stillcon is also taking notes of your email so that we can talk more. And Stillcon will reach out to you and talk more about what can be done. So AI. Okay, let me take another one from Eugene. I had pre noted questions for you, but it's more important to us that we deal with the questions coming from our participants because this is why it was put together. So Eugene is saying, I'm concerned about the credibility of new businesses using AI tools that have not built a brand. For me, when I see a video done with AI by a company, I get the wrong impression about the brand. Okay. So he says, how do we create a balance with brand trust and the use of AI? And this is also taking a leaf from Sholape's introduction into our shining the light on AI even as we secure our world. Raphael, what are your thoughts, please?
Okay, so again, you can't stop people from using whatever tool they want to use. I think the truth is, IT today, technology today is seen as business enablers, right? It's supposed to enable people's businesses. It's supposed to help people do what they have to do better. Now, it's up to whoever is approaching me for my services and doesn't feel, confident that I'm trying to offer them solutions with whatever tools they're not comfortable with. I think it's up to them to decide on how to address that with me, right? Because today, AI drives virtually almost everything.
Yeah.
And you can't tell people what kind of tools you want them to use. But again, for a content creator, one thing I would say is if you have specific products, you have specific services, especially in the digital marketing space, then you should have trademarks. Should trademark your services so that if people have to use them, on whatever AI tool they have, then you should also sort of have, you can go legal against them in that way, right? So to me, you can't stop people from using whatever tool they feel comfortable. We know AI has the good part of it and then the bad part of it. And I also think that this service provider is providing you a service that he thinks you need, but because he's using AI, I don't know how. You have to balance it. You have to balance it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my thought on it.
Thank you very much. Some of it is us rewiring to say, well, this is our reality
Exactly.
now. It's the same way some of us were not even trusting the internet before,
Mm-hmm.
or it was like, is it really the end of the world when we get on the www? So it might take time. Thank you. I have a question for Olabimpe, please. AI is a hot topic, of course. Our keynote speaker has lent her voice to it. With the rise of AI powered cyber attacks, like she mentioned, how can organizations leverage the same AI to defend themselves more effectively, just like our keynote speaker has said is possible?
Yeah, thank you very much, Joyce, for that. Organization can use AI to defend themselves against AI cyber attack. In that these tools are there, and I must say, like the previous question, uh, was asking. So there is need for us to embrace this thing. I mean, just like you were saying, when internet was coming, we were all scared. What will it do? What will it not do? So, I mean, it's high time we just embrace it. And for organization, they need to monitor their, threats. To detect threats, they need to automate things when it comes to threat intelligence. So, and for all of this, they need AI tools. You have anomaly detections that they need to do. Take, for instance, I give you something that happened to me very recently. I just launched a book, Encrypted Hearts, and this good book was to go on Amazon, I wasn't going to do it myself. My executive assistant was to assist me with that. And because the email I was using on Amazon is an email I don't want in the hand of my executive assistant. So we had to go back and forth with the OTP of a thing. And at some point, I just got that notification from Amazon that somebody was messing up with my account, and boom, they locked it. And that's okay. The locking is not against me, is to protect me, because they were not sure who was actually doing the thing. I mean, I didn't tell them my executive assistant will come and this will happen, that will happen. So, when they saw those anomalies on my account, then they're like, oh, we should do this. And who did it? It's not human. It's there. The AI tool they were using, I've noticed that, oh, this is not the regular pattern of activity on this account. And since it's not the regular pattern, okay, the best thing I would do is to block everything. And I just got that message. So that's what organizations would need to do. And another thing is we need to, now we deal with vast amount of data, you know,
Mhm.
gone are the days that you have to sit down, somebody who have to be collecting data before you know it, like 20% of the data is lost or we lose time in the process. But we have machine learning now that can help us to collect and manage this data in real time. So what do? We still go back to AI or machine learning, because now it's even more, the data collection we have, the data management we do is way bigger than where we're coming from. So
Yeah.
we don't have a choice than to just embrace it.
Thank you so much. And Stillcon
Okay.
Technologies is available to help us do that. Raphael, you wanted to make a point to add to
Yes,
that?
I wanted
Okay,
to make a
go ahead. Oh,
point.
yes,
So
please. And
what I
Eunice,
wanted
if
to
you would
say
like to
is,
jump into, we'll be happy to hear
yeah,
your thoughts.
what I wanted to say is we've come to the age where data is king, and to get the best kind of security, we can't scale anymore. Trying to do that from a manual, effort or approach,
Mm.
because your adversaries, right, your hackers, they have
Working 24 hours like Keynote
exactly, they
speakers.
work 24 hours, they have great collaboration, they're also attacking you from a cloud delivered perspective, and then they have the capability to scale. Now, you have to leverage on AI. That's just the only way. You have to leverage on AI, because I usually would tell people we need to start allowing machines fight machines and allow humans do what they know how to do best.
Hey, Terminator 4.
The future was predicted already. So here we are. So we need to allow machines fight machines,
She's
and
fine.
allow humans do what they know how to do best.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Eunice, would you like to add anything to this, or I should fire on with a question for you? You're muted. Yes.
Okay, no, you can fire on. Sorry.
Okay, fine. I'll come back to Daffy's question. Daffy is saying, how do we then deal with the false positives that AI and machine learning generates? Olamide, please let me come back to you with this. Then I'll go to the question I have for Eunice, please, just because Daffy has written it here in the chat. False positives that AI and machine learning generate. How do we then deal with them in trying to solve the problems?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the challenges we have. And with false positive, I think it's okay. It's better to, you know, to have it and you don't need it than to need it and you don't have it.
And not
So,
have it.
so I mean, false positive, yes, we know it's up. I mean, what false positive simply means is there is that alarm, oh, there is fire, and you get there, there is no real fire. So
Okay.
yeah, so it's better to have that than, oh, there is fire. Oh, why did we not know there is fire? Oh, because there was no fire alarm. There was no smoke detector. So we didn't know there was fire, and we just lost things. So we positive there. That's one of the challenges we have with AI and ML. So, but we just have to deal with it.
All right. Thank you. I really like that line. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So until I'm sure as we keep improving, things get better. All right. For Eunice, please. The question. Yes, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that
Yeah.
conversation that training data is also critical. If you
Okay.
have the right training data and it's accurate and it's complete, the machine is learning from the data that it has. So if the data is maybe dirty, it's not clean, it's not normalized, it's easy for it to throw off false positives. So we need to also check the data that we're feeding the system with so that we can get something that is
Okay, that's
true.
the human angle. We still need to train the data. So, for those of us who are worried that AI is going to take everything away from us, no, we still need humans to guide the AI. There's a lot of remote work right now due to everything going on in the world. So, my question to Eunice is very clearly for those who run businesses or are concerned, how can organizations take, or what measures can be taken to secure remote work environments, particularly when dealing with sensitive data and endpoints? Very specific. Thank you. You're muted again. Am I the one muting you from here? I don't know. No, I can't. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. I think good to go. All right, so you said measures to secure remote work environment,
Yes, please.
particularly when dealing with sensitive data endpoints. So there's several measures because we know that remote work introduces different kind of vulnerabilities. When it wasn't remote and you were working from office physically, there's some things you manage within the LAN. But when you're dealing with remote, you're allowing external your access into your LAN or WAN or whatever it is. So we could put out strong authentication and access control, which means you must have implement multi-factor authentication because it's going to add an extra layer of security in accessing critical systems. So for your critical system to be accessed, it must be done through multi-factor authentication. And you can also implement zero trust security model, which means you don't trust anyone, internal or external. So whatever access is being requested must go through authentication or go through
Mm,
verification. You also need to secure your communication channel because when you have people logging in from outside your LAN, outside the office, your LAN or whatever, you would need to secure and encrypt your internet connections and ensure that data transmission between the remote worker and the company network is safe. You'd also need to encrypt communication tools because when you're working remotely, you need to now use Teams, messaging, video calls. So you need to ensure that such tools are encrypted. You also need endpoint security. So device management, people are working from their laptop from remote areas. You need to implement remote device management to monitor, update, and secure the endpoint. You also need to update your softwares regularly to ensure that your operating systems are all are updated against the vulnerabilities. You will also need to look at your antivirus and anti-malware software to ensure that they are all up to date. Data protection, ensure your data is encrypted, ensure that if you have, it's also good to deploy or implement data loss prevention. Data loss prevention, you can use Teramind or you can use vCloud for that. And employee training is also critical. There's no way that you can, after doing all of the technical things, you also need to train the employees on cyber security. They should be educated on the latest threats, best practices. All of that is necessary. And we've also talked about phishing simulation. You may need to also do those simulation from time to time so that you would know the weak members of your team that usually click on this on these phishing emails so that you can educate them further. Then you also need clear policies. You must have policies that are clear on security, how you handle data, device usage, access control. You must have policies that are clear, not vague, so that people understand clearly what is expected of them. And, compliance and audit is also necessary to ensure that most of your policies are compliant with relevant regulations and frameworks, that could that framework that address vulnerabilities. So if you implement these measures, I'm sure that any organization will be able to secure their remote environment and protect sensitive data and endpoints from potential threats. Thank you.
Thank you. Very detailed. I think at this time we should just have rounds of applause in the comments
Yeah, can
for
I add something quickly?
all the responses so far. Yes, please. Whilst you're responding, let people be sending this applause because we are getting value. And if your questions are being answered, even the questions you haven't asked, say give us thumbs up and say thank you. My questions are being answered. Yes, please, Olabimpe, over to you.
Yeah. One other thing I would recommend is when policies are being put in place, let there be that segmentation between users' data and companies' data. And if you are the remote worker now, you can do that on your own. Because I will tell people in this industry, it's not about if there will be cyber attack, it's a matter of when.
When
I mean, try as we may, we want to reduce it, we want to minimize it, but it will happen, it will occur. You only don't know how soon or how late, and we want to limit the impact when it happens. So if you're a remote worker, try and partition your devices so that everything does not go in one slot. Then organizations should also employ remote wiping. So because sometimes our data gets, for remote workers now, you are not in the office, then the security of these devices are also at risk. So in case the device gets lost, what happens? So organizations should put measures in place so that remotely they can wipe off the data with the mind that so they must have, backed up those data.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'm getting some shout outs from the chat saying shout out to Ma'am Olabimpe, the cyber police. We have claps and shouts from Ibrahim and Ifeanyi. Thank you. I don't know why it's slow. I'm expecting more people to say thank you and maybe mention something in particular that has stood out to you or for you. So my question to Raphael is, in fact, now they're like two questions, but let me take one
Oh.
first. Let's talk about um hmm, I'm trying to, in fact there are more questions coming into my head, so I'm trying to
Wow.
balance out. Let's talk about strategies
Okay.
that, or let's go to latest developments in threat intelligence sharing. How can organizations contribute and benefit from threat intelligence sharing so that besides coming on CAMCON to learn, we can learn peer to peer and improve our our security together? I have like two other questions to fire, but I'll leave this here for now.
Wow. Okay. So we're in the digital age, and in this age, cybersecurity, there's a serious concern. It's a serious concern for both businesses and governments, right? And you need to collaborate in this age and time. You cannot do it alone. You need to collaborate. And effective collaboration and sharing of threat intelligence are sort of very essential in mitigating, and responding to cyber threats. I would like to give examples. Today, we have lots of alliances with most of the cybersecurity vendors. that alliance exists. You also have alliances with, the Interpol, the CIA, and the government of different nations. That is done because they also want to be able to share threat intelligence amongst themselves, right? So it has lots and lots of advantages. It will help, improve your cyber defense capabilities. From an economic standpoint, it also provides lots of benefits. Then it also would help you, enhance predictive capabilities, right? So you have enough threat data, that would enable your organization to predict, and prepare, for potential cyber attacks, and you have the capability to mitigate them. One example I like to give today, and I think it happens in almost all enterprise environments today, is we have different tools, we have different individuals, and we just have a process, or we have processes within enterprises. Now, this is an example. The easiest form to attack any organization today is phishing. And we cannot overemphasize that, right? From SMBs to mid-sized enterprises to even the large enterprises and even to government, no one is immune. And some people would also come up with the point saying, I can also enable two-factor authentication, which is good, right? It's not a bad idea, and it's good. You should do that. So, but from a threat intelligence perspective, using phishing as an example, today most organizations, when you get attacked by, by a fish, right? Be it an SMS, which is called smishing, or an email, that comes in as a phishing email, how do you respond to it? Because we have different tools within our enterprises, right? You would say it's the email security guy's job, or the email security tool flagged it. But how does that information benefit every other tool within your cyber ecosystem? Now, this is threat intelligence. We need to come to that point where we are able to share threat intelligence even internally within our ecosystem. Mind you, within these organizations, there is also that disconnect where somebody would say, I'm the firewall admin, I'm the email security admin, I'm the endpoint security admin. So you already have that disconnection that exists within the enterprise environment. But if you don't have a capability or the capability to share that threat internally, like example, phishing. A phishing email comes in, your email security detects it. What next? You have to go to your firewall, create a policy that says, I don't want my users to be able to access this URL going forward. You have to go to your email security tool. You have to go to your email platform, O365, Gmail, and all that to write those kind of policies. But if you cannot share threat intelligence within your ecosystem, then it's also a challenge. So again, it's very important in this time that, irrespective of the fact that we're also looking at external threat intelligence mechanism, we also need, the capability and the ability to also share this intelligence internally. We have disparate tools, we have disconnected individuals, maybe even disgruntled, and then you have lots of threats. Now, if there is no way to collaborate, if you don't have collaboration within that team, within your enterprise environment, you don't have the right tool that also can help you automate processes, right, around, security intelligence, then it's also going to be very difficult to scale in this age and time. So rather than having these things done manually, you could also automate that response. So something has been detected. I see people today use SOC as a service, right? And what usually will happen is the SOC as a service team will send you emails telling you we found XYZ stuff malicious, or we found it. So that's threat intelligence being shared. But what do you do to that? How do you act on that? How fast can you actually act on that data? And for you to have effective security, you need to be able to reduce your mean time to detection and response. That's the only way you're going to be efficient from a security standpoint. So threat intelligence, it's a no-brainer. We have to be able to make useful information, with the data we get from our threat intelligence platform. Now,
Right.
how do we make useful information of that? Now it depends on you as an organization, because you could be getting threat intelligence and don't make use of it, and it's to me it's not going to be useful information to you, right? So again, it has its benefits, and I think the pros outweighs the cons, right? So I think it's something that it's pivotal, you're right, in creating proactive cybersecurity environment within our ecosystem. While there are substantial benefits, that also come with it. And again, as cyber threats continue to evolve, so must our strategies for sharing and utilizing threat intelligence. So we have to also evolve with the trend.
The
Thank
trend.
you.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to be the only one asking questions. So if you have questions that you would like our experts to attend to, please, this is the time. Here they are. Use them, ask them. Let's get out as much information as we can. And if you have a colleague or a friend who works in an environment that needs to hear this, it's a good time to share the link to them and say, hey, come in and ask those questions concerning that ish that you had recently or you couldn't get solution to online. These are real-time experts that are in the same kind of environment as we are. So it's easier for us to have we kind of conversation. So please let's maximize this opportunity right now. And if this is making sense to you, you can write MS in the chat. It stands for makes sense. My question now to Olabimpe is leading from some
Sorry,
of the please,
before you
I'd like
ask
to
me
answer
your
it.
next
Go
question,
ahead. Yes.
yes, please. And I mean, for me, this is an appeal. This is an
Yes.
appeal to everyone here. Please, guys, most especially business owners, enterprises, uh, please let us not be shy when we have attack. Anybody can be attacked, because one of the challenges we have is I get attacked and I don't want people to know because of my reputation. Yes, that's one of the challenges. Don't worry, that reputation is attacked already. But please, we can further prevent that from happening when we educate others. Because most especially in our society, you find out that we don't get to report these attacks. Not too long ago, there was an attack on a bank here in Nigeria. And internally, unfortunately, even the staff members of that bank did not know what happened. They just knew that, oh, their network went down. There was downtime. What caused it, they did not know. But, there was a source from, the guys at the top that said it was an attack. So if your employees would not know that there was an attack, then how about other stakeholders? So let's not shy away from reporting it. We have organizations that collect this data. In turn, they will, pass across the message to others so that we know, okay, there is this type of attack. This is how to mitigate it, or this is how to reduce it, and others will not fall victim. Then let us not sit down and not educate ourselves. We have organizations around the world that published, successful attacks, how it is done, what you can do to prevent it, and all. Let's educate ourselves. Let's go on these sources, collect them, read them, then we can help ourselves.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you. I would like to ask if Eunice, you have something to add to this.
No, thank you.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. There are three questions in the chat, and I'm not going to ignore them. So, Olabimpe, I'll come back to you with some of these questions, and then Eunice, and then Raphael says, how safe is VPN in preventing cyber threats? Let's go there.
For me, you want me
Yes,
to
please.
go?
Yes, please, if
Yeah.
you don't mind.
Very
Olabimpe,
safe, guys. Very. Sorry, can you hear me now? I think
yes,
I
we can hear you. I know the
went off
network is
temporarily.
going
Okay.
on and off, but we can hear you.
Yeah. Awesome. So VPN is quite safe. That's what we recommend to people, most especially for those of us that I like free things, don't get me wrong. But as we say in Nigeria, sometimes I will purge.
A
So
purge.
be careful. Be careful. A wolf can purge. Sometimes we find ourselves on public Wi-Fi, and we are doing something very sensitive. Please, guys, no, don't expose yourself. When you use VPN, what you are doing is you are encrypting the data. And for those that are not from tech background, it's just like you have an envelope, you've written a love letter. You will not open your love letter and be showing everybody on the street. There is a way you conceal that letter from prying eye. And that's what VPN does for you. VPN has embedded in it that mechanism that envelope your data so that when it's going from point A to point B, it goes successfully until it gets to the recipient without being exposed. Anybody can intercept your data along the way. When your data leaves you and move. And when I say data now, it's not just one, two, three. It could be anything you send. Your girlfriend's picture, your baby picture, your mother's picture, your this, that, anything you send via internet is your data, is data to us. And that data, as it moves from one point to another, needs to be protected. Yes, your data might mean nothing to me, but it might mean something to you.
Yeah.
And data is life. So we want you to protect it. So as you are transferring it, if you can, please, we recommend the use of VPN so that you can please envelope that data in case there is an interception along the way, then it becomes useless to whoever intercepts that data.
All right. Thank you. Would any of the other panelists like to add to this before I go to the
Okay,
next question?
so if you have any free, like we said, awoof a purge. Once you use free tools and you think that free, and one of the things I notice is that just know that you are the product, right?
Hmm.
So whatever you think is free and whatever you think has been given to you for free, be sure that you are not the product. Now, how do you protect your how safe are VPNs and how can VPNs protect you from cyber attacks? Again, Madam has just said it all, but I'll just add one or two things to it. One example is this. I like to tell people this. I can walk into the airport today in Lagos with a Spectranet MiFi in my bag, and I advertise an SSID that says Muritala Mohammed International Airport. What happens is that everybody will jump on the Wi-Fi because they want to connect.
Hmm.
But I know my goal as an attacker. I'll sit down there and I'll do a man in the middle. I would spoof data and I can use those data for something else. Now, this is the reason why you may want to use VPN. But again, I also would also like to put a caveat out there. VPN from what provider?
Okay.
VPNs that are free, right? The idea around VPNs is that your communication is encrypted, which is correct, right? But in this case, you also might be using a VPN tool from a malicious provider that is free out there, and they have the capability to they see that data because it's coming
So it's
to
not
them. So
encrypted to them.
yes, to them it's not encrypted. So we have to also be mindful of that. And that's why I tell people when the tool is free, know that you are the product because they're also harvesting data from you. So we need to also be mindful of what VPN tool are we using. Are there any legal agreements? Are there any signed NDAs? Right? Most times we download these tools and we just click accept, accept, accept. We don't know what is legally binding and what information we've agreed to give out to these providers, especially the free VPN tools that we think we're using. I just wanted to mention it so that people are also very clear. So you don't say I use the VPN tool and how did this information get to the wild? The
Thank
VPN
you.
provider can decrypt that data. They
Yeah.
can.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So everyone, please, protect yourself. Not every free thing is a wolf. Innocent has come back and say, "Awoof, they run belle." That's the correct pigeon. Okay, sir, we take that from you. Thank you. So I'll put these two questions to you from Pascal and Omolola. What's the major difference between cybersecurity and information security? Is there even a difference? And then tell us a little bit about saving passwords on Google. I think we get this particular question every year on CAMCON. Please, over to you, ma'am.
Yeah, I think sometimes they are used interchangeably, but cybersecurity focuses on protecting um, maybe company network from, let's say, from external attack. It's always reactive. For cybersecurity, something would have happened, it's always reactive. While for information security, you want to protect your data, you want to protect your network. And for cyber security, usually um, deals with digital, mostly digital. While for information security, it could be physical. You're trying to protect your physical company data and all of that. I think that's the major difference. It's sometimes used interchangeably, but they're not the same thing. I think the information security encompasses more, and the cyber is usually a reactive measure, while the information security you try is like being proactive, trying to put those policies in place, trying to safeguard, your data and all that. That's what I would say for that. Then for Google, I don't.
Yes, please.
It's never a good advice to, allow any browser at all, whether Google or any other browser, to have your password, because they could easily be breached. Anyone can, go and and somehow, get your password from there. All the time you always see all the breaches that happen, and you see all the notification that your password has been seen in a particular data bank, password bank, or it showed up in a password leakage or something. So it's never a good idea to have any browser remember your password. That's
Yeah,
it.
here I'm drawing my virtual ear. We here, Joyce here, and everyone else. Many of us have done this forever. Please, we're hearing from the experts now. It's not a good practice. Avoid it as best we can. A question here. I think it has been answered of sorts, but let me still ask it just for clarity's sake, and I'll allow all the panelists to please respond to this. As ransomware continues to evolve, I think Raphael had touched on this, but let's take it again. As ransomware continues to evolve, what are the best proactive measures that an organization can take to mitigate risks? Maybe I'll start with Eunice, then I'll come back to Raphael, and I'll come to Olabingbe on this, if it's okay.
I think just like we've been talking since this event started, it's protection, 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 and continuous training, continuous updates as it evolves. We have mitigations processes and things out there that would help you prevent, mitigate all of these ransomware attacks. And employees have to be trained. It just has continuous training, and ensure that your your land, your facilities are also updated with every software updates, so you don't have any weak link or area where it can actually attack. So you also need to evolve as ransomware evolves. So what are the software out there? What are the mitigations that we put out there for? Also need to implement those, and also train your staff. so that they're not the weak link that open up your organization to ransomware attack.
Okay. Thank you. Would anyone else like to add something, Raphael? I think it's been touched. Olabimpe?
Oh yeah. It's I would tell people, if everybody in the world can do one thing, then we will not have ransomware attack again, or we will seriously commit. And what is it?
What's that thing? Yes.
Backup. I tell you, backup, backup. Guys, please back up. And when you back up, let your backup be the backups be encrypted. Two things is what a ransomware attacker wants to do. They want to collect that data, makes it useless for you so that you don't have access to it. In a way of do pepper them, as we will say it in Nigeria. That could be one. And it could be out for money. He knows, when I grab this data, you will pay me because you need it.
Yeah.
But if you can encrypt it, you back up the data. He has a copy, very good. But the copy he is going with is encrypted. Then you made it useless to him. He will just be hissing. You will see him hissing seriously. Rubbish. What's this? Because he doesn't have access to it. So make it useless to him. And if it's for money, because you have the backup, if he goes with it, you don't have to argue with him. And when that emails come, I have it. If you like call police, if you like do this, I have it. I will do this. I'll tell you, it's okay, sir. We'll get back to you. And you never get back to him. You don't argue with such people because you have the backup. You have something to fall back on. But where organizations get it wrong is we have that, on paper. We have that culture on paper that we back up our data. But when was the last time? The last backup was 3 months ago. So now you need it, and it's now in the hands of a malicious person. Then you don't have a choice than to pay. So please, let's keep backing up. And as you back up, don't back up in just one location. Some of us make the mistake. Even this one, for those of us small, my mother, my grandma, because it's not just only establishments or government enterprises that needs this. Even those of us, those baby pictures, you've been taking your baby's picture from day 1 to age 3. They matter to you. That's why you have taken those pictures. But you are backing it up on the same mobile device that you use. Say, I back up, I'm doing backup. I back up, but you are backing up on the same location. That is no backup. Because when that mobile device is gone, your backup is also gone. So we back up, as we will say in the industry, try and back up off-site, of the location of the original data. Then with that, if something happens to this one, you have something to fall back on.
All right.
Okay.
So our information is important. We must invest in it. Raphael, please, over to you.
Okay, so everything shared here is very, very valid. Everybody has given very good points. But again, it still brings me back to people, process, and technology.
People, process, technology.
Because I've seen scenarios whereby somebody had posted and said, I have backups, and then you can go away with my data. But the truth is, the backup you have, it depends on what kind of attack. A lot of attacks these days are very slow, and they are insider threats. Yes. So you could also think that you've backed up your data, and you could also tell the attacker, well, I don't need you and I don't want you. But the truth is, you don't even know how long you've had that malicious payload within your enterprise environment. So I've seen scenarios where people had backed up data, right? And then they got, the ransomware metamorphosed and then became live. And then over time, they restored back that data. And after 2 days, they still got infected by ransomware, right? Wow. So it's backing up the data is very, very good. It's very, very good. You might be lucky that the attack is not a very sophisticated attack that had been within your enterprise environment for months. and you would have also backed up that data, backed up the payload when you're having your backup. And then the next time you did a restore, right? The malicious payload also knows when
Back
it's
with
now
you.
in a Windows environment, and then it takes out time to explode and detonate itself. So again, backups are very important, they are very essential, but technology can also prevent you from also being infected by ransomware. So if you have the right technology, then you can also stay safe, right?
Okay.
The technology would actually see when encryption is happening at the kernel level, and to be able to mitigate that, in real time. So
Okay.
backups are very good, but the truth is that we don't know how long this malicious payload has been within your environment. And you
So
could have
in
also
addition
backed up. Yeah,
the threats. So in
yes,
addition to backing up, add the technology that can detect if the
and
thing has been
prevent it.
hiding in there
Yes,
in what
exactly.
it is you will back up. I think that's why we had this robust array of panelists so that we can always balance information and give everyone the options, know everything end to end. I've been very greatly enlightened. I have just maybe one or two more questions before I welcome our convener for his closing remarks. So if you still have questions, this is the time to drop it. If you have been enlightened, like I see Ruth Tilly Giado says she's deleting all her passwords from Google right now, and a few other comments that have come in. So please give us some applause in the chats so that we can feed them right back to our panelists to say thank you, or just write thank you. If you can't find where your emojis are, type THANKYOU to you all. Thank you. We've been mentioning the word encryption when we're talking about VPN, and I know that even some things I do, you say, oh, data is being encrypted. So how can companies, organizations, individuals balance the need for strong encryption with regulatory demands for data accessibility by law enforcement? I don't know if in our Nigerian space this is a big thing. So that's why, Eunice, I'll bring this to you first, then Raphael, and then Olabimpe. But is there such a thing as access to data by law that encryption can prevent, or how do we strike this balance? And before you speak, please, there's a lot of thank yous coming in the chat. So please take your flowers, Eunice, take your flowers, Raphael, take your flowers, Olabimpe. People are really being enlightened. Over to you, ma'am. I think we can hear you now. Okay. For some reason, we can't see Eunice or hear her. Okay, Raphael, please, over to
Okay, so
you.
the question says, how can companies balance the need for stronger? And yeah, okay. So again, in my own opinion, I think there has to be a balance between privacy and compliance with government regulations. I know in Nigeria we have a set, but I don't know how operational that set is. Um, and it's also very difficult because today, once you have data encrypted, you need to have the keys to be able to decrypt that data.
Okay.
I'm not sure by law or by regulation the government has. I'm not sure, right? I'm not sure there is a regulation today that says, our government can actually ask for the keys to be able to encrypt data. I know, yes, in other countries, yes, that's feasible. I know in the UK, the British service has what is called, the ghost protocol, which is like the hidden third receiver. So every data that is sent, they always request for a copy of it, right? So, but from a Nigerian standpoint, I'm not sure the government has that. I'm not sure that law, that regulation has been passed whereby the government has the capability to be able to decrypt data by asking, the telcos to be able to submit, to them, the decryption keys that can be used to decrypt data.
Okay.
it might be happening, but I'm not sure
Eunice,
there is a
Eunice
law
will
that
tell us
allows
more
that.
about it
All
if
right.
it is happening. Are you able to speak to us now, ma'am?
Yeah, sorry, I had some.
Okay.
So I think that strong encryption is critical, and for the agencies that may need this data, we also need to probably keep the data in a way that they can also access the data. Because in Nigeria, by the time they're asking you to provide this data, they're not thinking about all the rules and regulatory framework.
Mm,
EFCC says, "Oh, I need data concerning this guy. He's done some maybe money laundering, or he's done some stuff, and they need the data." You should be able to encrypt your data, ensure that you have strong encryption, but you also make room for how these organizations, like EFCC or whatever, can access the necessary information they need, not more than what they need. And it depends on the access level and control that you have put in place, because it's really difficult to say no, that no, they cannot access the data, or you cannot, or you just want to give them all the data as well. You'll be breaking some rules and regulations. But you can also segment the data, the ones that are really critical that you cannot share with them. You also know, how you present the ones that you wouldn't be falling short of any regulatory policies if you share with them. So you just need to strike that balance. There need to be that balance, because in the environment where we are, it's difficult to say I will provide, for them. It's difficult to say that, but we should strike
yeah.
a balance.
All right. Thank you. Lots of the comments coming in are saying thank you, thank you, thank you, insightful, thank you. They're getting results, and I'm not seeing any more questions from our participants. Maybe I have missed one. Let me scroll up and I'll take whichever one I see, and that will probably be our last question for today, because the questions I've had, you've answered them whilst responding to other questions. Olamide, you're back. Welcome
Okay.
back. Would you like to lend your voice,
Thank you.
please?
Oh,
Yeah,
sure, yes. Sorry, I don't know. MTN
it's
is
okay. Network is.
against my life today.
We
But
will.
it's
We
okay,
will.
we do what we have to do.
Yes, please.
Yes, I mean, if I get the question correctly, talking about the government getting hold of our data, even when it is encrypted, can these
Because of the
organizations
law for
decrypt
access.
the of in some cases, yes, yes. The courts, that could be court injunction, that could be court order that will come with the fact that okay, these individuals' data need to be accessed, and when the court says that, then there is nothing we can do. I mean, the law. I mean, court says it all. We are all equal before the law. And even when you encrypt it, I mean, some of the things that some of our guys do is digital forensic. No matter how hidden, even when you wipe it off from where you think you've kept it, these guys can go in and still extract this data. But that would be extreme cases. I mean, because in some cases, when it comes to the law, they what is it Google that will say it, that if you don't have something to hide, there is no need to protect. Of course, I don't buy that idea. Who doesn't have something to hide? I mean, my data is
Or
personal to
something to
me.
protect.
So, I mean, something to protect rather. But in some extreme cases, yes, the court can say, "Oh, go ahead and be after this person." And when that happens, I mean, there's nothing we can do. They do what they have to do. Of course, depending on which courts now, which law, because this law varies from country to country. Can you still hear me? I think.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes,
Can you
We
ma'am.
still
lost
hear
you
me?
for a moment, but you're back.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you. So this law varies from country to country, and that's why I would say we have to be very, very careful, guys. We don't want to do anything malicious. because until when it gets to that extreme cases, when something is phishing, when we become suspects to the government, that they take such an extreme measure. And some of us would feel, oh, because I'm here in Nigeria, I can do whatever I like. Like now we see cybercrime. That's why cybercrime are on the rise now. People sit in their individual homes and they do stuffs online. But maybe we know about these two guys that were extradited to the US very recently. I mean, the crime was committed here, and the law of the United States says, bring them. Yes, it is against our citizen, and that can happen. And when it happens like that, then we have, we call it cutting across borders now. Some laws some orders can go across the border. So even if the law of the country here in Nigeria might not say, oh, no, leave the data. The law does not permit you to go in and do anything with it. But if that data or if whatever we are handling has to do with another country, there is that relationship by different countries of the world that will say, oh, yes, go ahead and do whatever you like. Since this suspect is against your citizen, don't worry, we'll do it together. You need the person, okay, we'll hand him over to you. And they do their investigation. And when they are doing their investigation, they will end up using their own law. So that's why, guys, we have to just be careful.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Final question. I promise, final question. It's from Innocent again. Innocent, who gave us our first question. We're taking his question now as the final one for today. He says, state actors in the cybersecurity world, semicolon, is the fear of state actors rational or overrated? For example, the war between Kaspersky and the US government, or the war between Huawei and the US government, etc. Should we be paying any mind? Oh, unfortunately, there's no Nigeria federal government war with any. Anyway, over to you. Let me start with Raphael. Raphael, you're the one laughing first, so please, I'll take your thoughts, then Eunice, then Olabimpe.
Okay, so to me, I think it's a trust issue, and trust is a very dangerous vulnerability, right? When you already, so again, lost my line of thought, but looking at it in this way, you already know that there is a war right now between maybe the United States and China. And then the US has brought up a policy from a government perspective that says no government agency can actually use a Huawei product, right? Now, the reason why that is being done is because they're also trying to protect what data the US government has or individuals have in the US that might be going through, a Chinese product, maybe in this case, a Huawei device or something. Now, I will tell you that this war is only coming up because both state actors know what they can do with data. It means that the US government knows that whatever data that transverses through whatever device that belongs to a Russian company or Chinese company can also be accessed and submitted to the government in Russia. Okay. So it's like, you trying to fight back with whatever information you know about your adversary. And then trying to also ensure that, data privacy and data security within, that data sovereignty exists within your nation. So it comes to that point where most nations say, okay, you know what, because we don't have good relationship with China, we don't want anybody to use a Chinese product. Or we don't have good relationship with Russia today, then nobody must use a product from Russia or an Israeli product. So it's because most of the cyber security, most of the tools being used today to hack various organizations were mainly state-sponsored tools. Okay. Right? The challenge is that when these tools got used, they also got leaked into the deep dark web. Okay. And the moment they got leaked into the deep dark web, then your adversary knew or knows that this tool is actually a tool being used by the CIA So that trust doesn't exist between most of these, nations or sovereignty. And that's why you see that war out there saying, you know what, how can we use our product to also, help us get data from another nation? And that's why the concept around defense in depth comes to play, right? And I see a lot of organizations do it today. I've seen scenarios whereby people, purchase Chinese products, but they also look for another product, that sits behind it, because they want to be sure whatever data leaves my enterprise environment, I want to also double check and know, where does this data go to? Is there a backdoor access? It happened last year. The African Union building in Ethiopia. Every data in that building was sent to China because the product was Huawei. So you see where the distrust comes from, right? So the moment the Chinese government know that the US cannot, so they know their capabilities, they know what they can do. So they try to ensure that, okay, you don't use this product within your government system, because we know that these products can be vulnerable. And when it comes to the attack kill chain, there are millions and millions of vulnerabilities out there. Very few exploit mechanisms. So we understand that these devices can be vulnerable. These devices can be, breached. And then we want to also ensure that, right, we don't use this within our enterprise ecosystem or within our government ecosystem.
All right.
It's just a case of me trying to also, I know what this guy can do to me. I know their capabilities. Let's also try to avoid, products from this nation. Because the truth is, how did most of this information leak? How did they leak? Literally, how did they leak?
Insider issue there.
Yeah, insider issue, backdoor access, and all that. So,
all right.
It's a trust issue, and
you'd like to lend your words, and Eunice will close on this before we take our final words.
Let me just keep quiet because I didn't get the question quite well. You want to restate it?
I'm happy to
move on
scroll for a bit to find it. It says, should we pay any mind to the fear of state actors, like the war between Kaspersky and the US government, or the war between Huawei and the US government?
Okay, if we should pay attention to state actors.
Wars, state actors, like Huawei is a Chinese organization. I know in the US they are very skeptical because of some of the things that Raphael has said. If you're using Huawei in this US government environment, best believe that everything, like he said, in AU, since Chinese materials or equipment were being used, AU information were exposed to China for whatever could be. So should we pay attention or not? I think the answer is getting clear.
Yeah. I think Raphael did justice to that already, and I might also be. Let me guess why that person is, because state actors target the government, not individuals, right? So, but I mean, a government of a country could be gotten by their citizens. So I might not be the target, and that's what malicious guys do sometimes. I might not be their target, but they might use me to get you. So they come in, they may not know who is who, they may not know what is what, and they just want to, do their things just to eventually get the government. And don't forget, for these state actors, they don't strike immediately. There's what we call persistent threats. So they stay in the system. They might be there for as long as 1 year. They might be there as long as 2 years, just to monitor what happens in the network. And they might go from the individual to eventually when they get to the government.
All right. Thank you. Eunice, please, your comment.
So Raphael had nailed it, and Olabimpe had added to it. So it's both rational and sometimes it could be irrational, but rational in the sense that really historical precedents have shown that really you could have espionage being done by maybe one country against the other, not just using human beings, they could use equipment, and all that. That's why you see the fear of USA, they don't want Huawei products or Chinese products, but they know embedded in those products could be, espionaging tools or whatever to gather information or whatever they need. And on the other side, sometimes the fear could be irrational. When you see when Hollywood decides to do one fantastic movie on how the how this surveillance and this, you're being monitored, everyone is being monitored, and all that, it could also go overboard. But really, most times, just like we say, there's never a smoke without fire. Something would have been happening before it would be overblown. So there's always a rational, and there's also the other side that could be just conspiracy theories. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We are completely out of time. I really want to say thank you to our panelists, Eunice King, Raphael, Olabimpe Adeloro. Thank you for such heartfelt contributions. You gave us your all. You left nothing out, and you were willing to keep pouring in. I know that our participants have received a lot of insights, and I'm sure some of you will write in the chats now saying thank you again, because we can't say thank you enough. And I know when we're putting out the flyers on LinkedIn, we had put some links to our speakers so that you can reach them privately should you need to, as well as reach out to Stillcon Technologies should you need to. I'll bring up our convener right now, who I'm sure will say thank you to you before we all say our goodbyes together. So just stay with us one more minute. Let me welcome George Ikoli-Spiff back to stage, our convener and founder of Stillcon Technologies. Hey, George. Thank you and welcome back. George, you're muted, please.
You see, this is what happens when you're excited by such a rich discussion that has been had by our various panelists. I just want to say a big thank you. We never get tired of learning, and I've learned a lot. So thank you, Eunice. Thank you, Raphael, and thank you, Olabimpe, for enriching us. And I want to say a big thank you to our keynote speaker, Sholakpe Akingbelu. And of course, without saying, to our beautiful MC, Joyce Daniels, for handling this session. What can I say? Also, I want to say a big thank you to all those that connected with us today. I'm sure you've learned a lot, and the things you've learned, you'll be able to apply them to yourselves. Data is king in our world right now. Who owns data owns the world. That's why you see everyone fighting for how to get data. So ensure that you start by putting up whatever. It starts somewhere. Gradually ensure that your data is protected on all levels. So I just want to thank you all for being with us. I'll hand over back to Joyce to take us past the finish line.
It's 5 o'clock on the dot, so we all will wave and say bye to all the participants. Eunice, Ralph, Olabimpe, George, everyone, thank you for being here. Bye, and best wishes in protecting yourself while you secure your world in cyberspace. Bye for now. See you at CAMCON 2025 by the grace of God.